Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the stream. It's Wednesday, and you know what that means? It's time for Jump Around, our weekly cardio class. I look like a crazy person. Oh, God. Quarantine hair just is not a good look on anyone, I think. But hi, everyone. Hope everybody's having a good week so far. You can tell that I was tired when I wrote those social media posts about class today, and I pre-schedule all of my posts over the weekend, and clearly I was tired then, and I'm still tired now, so yay. But it's nice to be halfway through the week, and yeah, the haze has definitely returned to Colorado. Apparently it's supposed to be pretty bad air quality for the next few days, which is a bummer, but then again, that's why we have the opportunity to take class indoors, so that's good at least. And thankfully, the fires in Colorado are doing pretty well in terms of containment, and just not growing any bigger, which is obviously a huge part of it. So that is very good for us. Obviously, my thoughts are still very much with the entire West Coast, which is just going through such horrible intensity right now. And yeah, it's pretty awful. I have a lot of loved ones out there that I am really worried about. So if you're out on the West Coast, I am thinking about you. I hope that you are staying safe. But yeah, you know, it's an interesting day. I don't feel strongly one way or the other in terms of how I'm feeling today. It's not a day where I'm like feeling really excited and pumped, and it's also not a day that I'm feeling like really stressed and anxious, so I just feel like I'm in this weird like midway zone. So, you know, that can be a good thing or a bad thing, I suppose, depending. But I am looking forward to class. We'll have a good time. Get ourselves pumped up for the rest of the week, hopefully, and you know, get some energy back in our days, and that's why we're here. And it'll be a pretty simple class today in terms of structure, which I think can also be helpful. You know, sometimes you like a lot of variety, and you like a lot of complexity, and it helps to engage our brain, and sometimes we just really need something that will be pretty straightforward, that we can understand without having to put a ton of brain power towards it, and that's what today's gonna be, so that's good. Also, I'm really excited because my vacation week is pretty much solidified, which is awesome. So again, that's gonna be the week of the 28th. So I'm still trying to figure out what I will be doing with streams. I think that what I will try to do is just broadcast during the usual times, but do a rebroadcast of previous week's streams for all of those classes, so that you know, so that you guys can still have class, but I don't have to be actively participating, for lack of a better term, because as you know, if you've been taking class with me for a while, rest weeks are a lot harder when you're the teacher. And when you're streaming like this, you know, when I teach in person, I don't actually do that much of class along with people. I generally just demonstrate exercises and then let everybody sort of go. And I prefer streaming as a way of teaching, just because it keeps me much more engaged in the process, and also obviously helps me to maintain my own fitness, which is always good. But it does mean that it's harder for me to do a true rest week the way that I recommend for everybody, because I'm not generally taking you know, a break from streaming every time I need to have a rest week. That would be insane. So this will be my first true rest week. Gosh, at least in the last 3 or 4 months, possibly since I started streaming back in March, which is crazy. And I am looking forward to it. I think it's going to be very good. Very good. But we're not there yet. Where we are right now is class time. So let's do our pre-class checklist. We got, I'm still using for anyone who wasn't here yesterday, this is the new water receptacle. It's a giant mason jar, and it's doing the trick very well. So make sure that you have a water bottle or something that holds water that you can use to hydrate yourself while we're taking class. You got your comfy clothes on, you've got your mat or a mat-sized space set up, and if you're using a fitness wearable, let's get those turned on right now. High intensity interval training is what I use, obviously, and is the most appropriate setting, I think, for these classes. So, without further ado, I guess, let us get started. So, we're going to start with our warm-up. So everybody on your mats, on your backs, 1 foot cross over the opposite knee. And we're going to start out, as soon as that horn goes off, we're going to start out with hip rocks and bridges, okay? So as soon as you hear the horn, we are moving. All right. Woo! So making sure that you are not going immediately to 11 in terms of intensity, because we have an hour to go. And you do not want to use up all of your energy in the warm-up sequence. But so we're just taking it easy. You know, you want to make sure you're engaging your core to actually rock your hips up in the air, but you don't have to get them super high up. You'll notice that I generally don't rock up that high. Don't generally bridge up as high as I could. This is mostly just for us to get started moving and start getting, start the boot up process for our brains and for our muscles to let them know that yes, it is time for exercise. All right, switch feet. Here we are, opposite side, still doing the same thing. So really, I want you to think about the nice sort of hip stretch that you're getting. This is not our hip and back section, but it's still, when you do the hip rock and you sort of pull your knee towards yourself, you should feel a nice stretch in the hip of the leg that you have crossed over the opposite knee. So really enjoy that. That is a really nice stretching position. If you've ever done yoga and done like a pigeon pose, pigeon stretch, it's the same concept essentially, except for in motion rather than a static stretch. So let's just really enjoy getting our class off the ground. All right, rolling onto your side, nice straight line of the body. Here we are. We're doing our leg sequence starting with our best chain fonda impression. So let us just lift that top leg. Make sure that your entire body is in a nice straight line, okay? So if you need help sort of determining that, if you're still new to class and you don't necessarily have the full spatial awareness yet, you can line up against the edge of your mat. Nice, convenient, straight line to use for you to just go, oh, okay, so this is what it feels like when I have my body in that nice straight line, okay? And then the more that you can understand about what it feels like to have your body in different spatial positions, the easier it will be to locate those positions for other exercises down the line. All right, top foot flat on the floor. in front of the bottom knee. We are lifting the bottom leg right now, and I'm trying to keep my knee pointing straight up towards the ceiling right now. So you want that foot flat. That's the first thing to focus on. Not heel up or anything like that. Flat on the floor. And you want that knee pointing up towards the ceiling, not sort of caving forward like this. If you're struggling with that, it's less dire because we're not putting any pressure on this leg. However, that also means that this is a great opportunity for you to really practice engaging the hip muscles so that you can pull that knee into the correct position. All right, now take that foot, put it behind the bottom knee, still flat on the floor. We're still lifting the bottom leg. This is our most comfortable and relaxed position here. We are not, we're basically chilling on the beach right now, not having to really worry too much about balance in this position. You know, obviously not really having to pay attention to, can I keep my knee pointing straight up at the ceiling? Well, yeah, it would be really hard for it not to be doing exactly that right now. And so we're just lifting that bottom leg. You can have your foot I don't really care, honestly. I tend to go between just having a neutral position like this or holding it flexed. If you have lots of dance training and you tend to default to pointing the foot, that is fine as well. Whatever floats your boat, basically. All right. We are on our second side now, doing the same 3 exercises. So starting back with Jane, doing that leg lift. Make sure that your core is engaged. That's really going to help maintain that nice straight line of the body, okay? So because if you're engaging your core, that'll help keep your hips balanced rather than them wanting to roll forwards or backwards. And as you're lifting that leg, you want to make sure that the glutes on the working leg are engaged. You're not pulling the leg backwards, but honestly, just engaging the glutes, it pulls the leg into the line that we want, and it will kind of feel initially like you are actively pulling your leg backwards. It's gonna feel weird, okay? I promise it's the right position, but it's gonna feel weird. All right, now we've got that foot flat on the floor in front of that bottom knee, lifting the bottom leg. Again, making sure that you're trying to engage your hip muscles as much as possible so that you can keep that knee pointing straight up towards the ceiling rather than it caving in towards the midline. And that's a running theme, okay? Especially once we get off the ground and we're doing variations of squats. The theme there from a form perspective is always trying to make sure that your knees are going straight over your feet and not caving in towards each other. So this is as I said before, this is a great time to practice that when it's lower stakes because we're not putting any pressure on the knee. All right, last leg exercise in our beach pose. Still lifting that bottom leg. We've got the other foot flat on the floor behind the bottom knee. So just relax. You know, you don't need to be really holding your core, but I want you to pay attention to how when you lift this leg, you will feel a little engagement in the lower abdominals. It's not just the inner thigh that is working to pull that leg up. You should feel some engagement all the way up here as well. So just take the opportunity to really pay attention to what muscle groups you are feeling activate when you do different movements. It's really useful information, especially as you continue on your fitness journey. All right, now we're moving into our warming up and stretching out backs and hips. So we're going to start with our scorpion twists. So lying on your stomach, forearms firmly planted on the ground, and we're just twisting back and forth. Remember to make sure that your forearms do not come up off the ground, okay? If you have to twist a little less far, that's fine, okay? That just means that your flexibility is not quite where you want it to be yet, but it also means that you are paying attention to where your body is and you're not trying to shove it into a position it is not ready for, which will, you know, inevitably set you up for injury. So here we are, just getting the opportunity to move our backs around. You know, a lot of us are working at desks all day. All right, we're standing up and we're doing our nice big torso rotations, holding an invisible PVC pipe over our heads. But yeah, a lot of us are working at desks all day, which means that we're sitting a ton, or, you know, if you work in retail or food service, you may be standing a ton, but not actually moving around a lot. And both of those are unhealthy in different ways. And, you know, in both instances, you're not really doing a lot to move, to stretch, to strengthen your back and your hips. And so when we come into class, and especially when we're doing our warm-up, we really do want to take the opportunity to pay attention to those areas and give them a little love, because it can be a struggle for them. All right, we are now doing our first round of squats, okay? So still holding that imaginary PVC pipe above our heads, like I was talking about earlier, making sure that the knees are going straight over the feet and that they are not trying to cave in towards each other. If you can't do a squat without your knees trying to cave in towards each other, narrow your stance a little bit, okay? You see that I am in about a shoulder width stance. If you need to narrow to more of a hip width stance, that's fine. Practice here, strengthen here, and then as you get more confident, you can widen the stance and just go, okay, now I feel strong enough to hold my knees safely. All right, time for those Samson stretches. So this is a really nice opportunity. We're stretching the front of the hip flexor here, and oh boy, is that a really, really nice stretch. So, you know, we're obviously not staying a ton of time each time that we go down into this position, but just take a second, try and sink down a little bit into the stretch. Make sure that your hips are pointing straight forward no matter where you are. We're not opening our hips out into like a warrior two position or anything like that, okay? So your pelvic bones should be facing forward the whole time, no matter where your legs are in the position. All right, coming down into this nice wide squat position. Turned out, we've got our hands on our knees, which is helping us to keep those knees in that nice safe position, which is awesome. Takes a little of the pressure off of us. And here we are, we're just twisting our shoulders right now. So we're getting a nice twist in the upper back by twisting first one shoulder in towards the midline and then the other, okay? So the only thing moving are our shoulders. Everything else is staying nice and stable. We're not bouncing up and down out of the squat. We're not letting our knees cave in and follow as we bring a shoulder in. Just chilling right here and moving our shoulders and get ready, because now we've hit the cardio portion. All right, so these are the final 3 exercises in our warm-up. Hooray! We're still not going for 100%. We are still focusing on just booting up systems. So this is our opportunity to get our cardiovascular system ready for our cardio intensive class today. Okay, so we're just getting our heart rate going a little bit faster, getting our breath going a little bit faster, carrying that oxygen a little more quickly throughout the body. But, you know, I'm doing very small jumping jacks. As you can see, I'm not jumping my feet really far out or keeping my arms straight, anything like that. I'm just doing enough movement to let my body know and let my brain know that yes, we are exercising. All right, kick throughs, going back and forth from side to side, making sure that standing leg is 90-degree angle or as close as you can get it with the knee pointing up towards the ceiling. You do not want to sink your butt all the way down to the floor because it's going to take a lot more force to then switch to the other side, and that's going to put unhealthy torque pressures on your knee. The same reason we don't want our knee caving towards us on that standing leg, because again, when we start that twist motion, we put weird pressures on the knee, open ourselves up to knee injuries, okay? So 90 degrees and hopping side to side. All right, last but not least, it's burpees. So from this plank, we are doing a wave push-up, not a plank push-up, okay? I know that some of you want very much to do a plank push-up there, and it is not the exercise. In this particular instance, I do have a very specific opinion on the type of push-up. Make sure that you're doing that nice big victory clap up at the top when you do that jump, and you know, just feel pumped. You're cheering yourself on. We've got 45 minutes left of class. Once the spinal horn goes off, and you're ready to go. All right, my friends, let's take a quick rest, get some water, breathe. Breath, very important, all right? Woo. Yep, the sun is doing fun things to my lighting. Oh boy. I need to get like a softbox or something. Well, I need a lot of upgrades to the setup, but you know, we make do. All right, my friends. So today we are going to be focusing on the Tabata interval. So that is amount of time for work, for doing the exercise, and amount of time for rest, and going back and forth between those two. The classic Tabata is 20 seconds of work to 10 seconds of rest. We are going to be doing 30 seconds of work to 10 seconds of rest. So an extra 10 seconds of exercise. So just be aware, you know, if you're used to the more standard Tabata setup, just be aware there's going to be a little additional time for the exercise before we move forward. But we are just going to be doing 8 times through with a single exercise each time, okay? So we're not going to be alternating between exercises. So that will, in some ways, make it easier, in some ways, make it harder, like most things. So our first exercise for this is going to be the turtle burpee. So if you've taken class with me before, you know when I say turtle, the first step is rolling up onto your shoulders and then straight up onto your feet. In this instance, we're creating sort of a reverse, an inverted burpee almost. So rolling here, up onto the feet, plant your hands, jump back to that plank. Do that wave push-up, jump your feet forward, a quick jump up. You don't need to do the clap. We're just going to jump up, and then again, okay? So it is very similar to what we were just doing, but slightly different. So you are going to have to pay attention, all right? Make sure that you're not accidentally defaulting to the regular burpee. All right, so let's just get that there. So everybody head back over to your mats, and we're going to get started. Remember, because it's a Tabata interval, the first sound you hear does not mean go. That's our stop sound. Stop, rest, recuperate. Knock, knock, knock means get ready, get in position, because you want to start as soon as you hear that fanfare go, all right? You don't want to be getting to the end of that horn and go, oh, well, I guess it's time to get started, okay? You want to make sure that you are going immediately so that you are not wasting any of that 30-second work interval, okay? That's our goal. So our bare minimum qualifications, and if you're new to class, that's all I ask, okay? If this is your first class with me or your first class back in a while, all I want you to do is the bare minimum, and that has 3 components to it: starting on time, stopping on time, and doing the exercise correctly. So starting and stopping on time, super easy to tell if you're doing that or not, because we've got these helpful alarm sounds that will go off, and they're distinct sounds. So, you know, we're not using the same horn type for everything. So you know that when you hear that noise, that means you need to start moving. And when you hear the other horn type, that means that you get to take a little bit of a break, okay? So starting on time, stopping on time, super easy. Form is the thing I really want you to pay attention to, okay? I do not want you to do, 20 reps of an exercise, but do them incorrectly. I would rather that you do 3 reps or 5 reps and make them form perfect, okay? Because if you're over here doing 20 reps of an exercise and doing the exercise unsafely, then not only are you training your brain incorrectly on how to do the exercise, but you are also setting yourself up for injury down the line, okay? So I want you to really focus in. If there is an exercise that you feel like you're struggling with, or for exercises that are a little more complex, that have more moving parts, start slower, that's fine, okay? If it's a new exercise to you, you do not have to be blasting out of the gate full speed ahead, okay? You can take that time and make sure that your brain has clearly and correctly processed how to do the exercise, all right? And then once you have that foundation of form, then you can come back and be like, okay, now I can start adding more reps, more speed, more power, what have you, all right? But you never want to start there. You always want to start with, am I doing this exercise correctly? And am I still doing the exercise correctly when I get to the end of the work interval, or when I am
on my 7th time through it as opposed to my first, okay? Because fatigue also impacts our ability to hang on to form. So all of these things are things that you have to train yourself in, okay? They're not things that just magically happen. So if you're new to class, then the first place you can start is just doing the form correctly on a single interval, okay? And then start paying attention to how does fatigue impact my ability to keep doing the exercise correctly over the course of the entire rest of the timer. Am I still, now that I'm going into my 8th time, am I still doing the exercise correctly, or do I need to check in on some components of my form? If you do, that's fine. I would rather that you take that time and be honest with yourself about how you're feeling and about how you are performing the exercise than go, oh, I can muscle through this and end up injuring yourself because you weren't doing it correctly, okay? Woo! Good job, everybody. Holy crap. All right. Make sure that you're drinking plenty of water, okay? Water, so important for any exercise activity, but especially a class like this. And hate to say it, but we're really bad at hydrating ourselves appropriately. And it's pretty silly, honestly. So make sure that every time we have these little breaks, that you're going back over to your water bottle and getting some water, okay? And that you continue to drink water even after class is done, okay? It's not just while we're here in class. All right, second exercise is going to be flying chickens. I enjoy flying chickens. It's a weird looking exercise, but it's quite fun. So the flying chicken is basically a cousin of the jumping jack, but where with a jumping jack, we jump our feet out and land and jump them back in and land. In a flying chicken, we will jump up, bring our feet apart in the air, but then land with them in the same place they started. So out in, out in, out in, out in, like that. And then for our arms, we're just gonna take our thumbs to about chest height. If you wear a bra, hooking your thumbs under your bra straps is a really easy way to gauge where they should be. And you're just flapping your elbows, basically, up and down as you jump. So it's honestly a pretty simple exercise, which is good. Oh, these puzzle pieces are really not liking to stay together anymore. I should do something about that at some point. But there we go. So that is our next exercise, the flying chicken. That is not our start sound. So get yourself back on your mat. Knock, knock, knock means get into position, feet together, thumbs at chest height. And now we're going. So there aren't too many form components to this. You do want to make sure that you are on a softer surface, okay? So that's why I have the puzzle pieces in the first place, is to soften the impact on my joints, because, you know, this faux wood paneling over what I'm sure is concrete or something like that is just not a great surface for me to be doing jumps on. So wherever you are, make sure you have some padding, even if it's just a yoga mat, something to help soften the impact. And also, you know, if you, like me, are on a second floor apartment, it also helps soften the impact of jumping up and down on your downstairs neighbor's ceiling, which I'm sure they will appreciate. Yeah, like I was saying, not a ton of form notes for this one. It's a pretty easy one to manage. The only thing that I would recommend, generally, there are next to no times when I don't think it's a good idea for you to be engaging your core, because you are moving around a lot, and you do want to try and make sure that areas of your body that don't have to be moving are not moving and taking energy away from what you are trying to do. So I'm trying to jump with my legs, and I'm trying to bring my elbows up and down. I don't need any other bits of my torso wobbling around anywhere, or my back hyperextending like that. So I engage my core, and that just keeps everything else stable and still, so that I can really focus all of my energy on what I'm supposed to be doing, and not on, where did that part of my torso go? It seems to be, pulling me over, pulling my weight in a direction I wasn't expecting it to go, okay? So I would recommend, even in something like this, I still recommend engaging that core, paying attention to whether it's moving or not, all right? Or whether it's engaged or not. And you'll feel the difference, As soon as you engage the core, you will feel it when you lose track of it and it maybe relaxes. You'll notice your body and your back start to get out of alignment, okay? Maybe not today, Maybe today it will feel weirder when you have your core engaged, and you'll, want to go back to not having it engaged. And that's, part of the learning curve, especially if you haven't been thinking about that when you've done similar exercises. But you will get to a point, again, after you've really put in that work on all the foundational form concepts for all these exercises, you will get to the point where maybe you can't always stop yourself from falling out of correct form, especially as you get fatigued, but you will start to notice it more and start to notice it more quickly. And that's part of the training as well, Nobody starts out immediately being like, I can always tell when my form is correct and when it's not. It takes work. It takes years of work. And if you're feeling frustrated that you don't feel like you have that sense yet, I understand that feeling. And all I can tell you is that practice makes better, okay? I've been an active person since age 5, and I am still having to remind myself of these things. I am still having to have those moments where I go, oh yeah, I stopped paying attention, or I got a little fatigued, and I can feel my body trying to compensate and not doing the exercise correctly, okay? It's not something we will ever be perfect at, but our goal is not perfection, because that's an unattainable goal, and that is the goal that drives us crazy, that makes us give up on things, and I hate it. Okay, so practice makes better, and that's what we want. Okay, we want to be improving, and it's a slow process. It's not, so often people say slow and steady. It's not even necessarily steady. People talk about plateaus in your exercise practice, and it's absolutely true, where you will spend weeks, sometimes months, feeling like, oh my God, I
I feel like I'm doing everything correctly, and yet I still feel like I haven't actually improved, my power or my speed or my strength or anything. Like, what the hell is going on? And it's really frustrating. You are getting better, okay? You are. Just by virtue of the fact that you're still practicing, that you're still showing up, you are getting better. But we can't always feel it consciously. And so you have to remind yourself that even if I can't feel, the chemical level changes and improvements that exercise is causing to, within my body, even if I can't feel the improvements that are being made to my strength and my stamina and hormone production and, mental health and all of this stuff, it's still happening, okay? And the more I keep showing up, the more it'll keep happening. And that, is only so comforting because it's really frustrating. So, yeah, I understand. And I have plenty of those times, and it's important to remind ourselves that changes are happening, even if we can't feel them. But it's also important to remind ourselves that frustration and that feeling that we're not improving the way that we want to be is totally normal, totally natural. And honestly, sometimes what it means is that we need to just give ourselves a rest for a little bit and, step back, give ourselves a chance to just rest body and mind, because we're really bad at that, and rest is just as important as exercise, okay? You should have at least a couple of rest days every week, and every 4 to 5 weeks, you should give yourself an entire week of rest where you're not doing anything more strenuous than going for a walk, or maybe, doing some light gardening or something like that. But, we get into our habits, we get into our patterns, and we don't want to interrupt them, and we feel like more is always better, so more class must always be better. You still have to let yourself rest, okay? So be kind to yourself and make sure that you're resting appropriately, I guess, is the end of that particular speech. All right, our next exercise, speaking of exercises that I was plateaued on for ages before I finally felt like I made an improvement, we've got mountain climbers, okay? So we are going to be doing our classic version. So nice plank position, shoulders directly over the wrists, butts out of the air, and just driving our knees one at a time up towards our chest. Even while I'm moving, I still need to keep my shoulders over my wrists and my butt out of the air, okay? So even while you're moving, I'm actually gonna push my puzzle pieces out of the way just because I don't wanna be over flexing my wrists. You don't want to be letting your butt come up and coming into like a downward dog. So if you feel that start to happen, just push your butt down, and that should help reset the entire position. But you need to make sure that your shoulders are really engaged and stable, okay? Because they are what is really keeping you safely in that position. All right, so here we go. Back to our mats, my friends, and making sure that we get in position when we hear that knock, knock, knock. Nice plank, and here we go. So we don't think about the shoulders a lot when we are, especially when we're doing body weight exercises. It can be really easy to forget that they need to be able to be strong and stable, okay? Because our shoulders are a ball and socket joint. They are designed to be able to move around, but they still there are still moments where they need that strength and that stability, and they need to not
be pulled in whatever direction something wants to pull them. And so if you can start that process of strengthening them with body weight exercises, then when you move into, say, doing free weight exercises, you will be in a much safer position to be able to manage and move heavier weights without the weight dragging down on your shoulder, maybe, and causing an injury. That's absolutely how I caused an injury to myself some years ago. And so I've got chronic shoulder stuff because I had never put any work into strengthening my shoulders like that before I started free weight work. And I also didn't really grow up doing free weight exercise programs, so I didn't have the form the way I should have, and I, was trying to manage an amount of weight that was too heavy for me, and it wrenched my shoulder. And so if you can start here, where the only weight that you're putting on your shoulders is your own body weight, start here and start learning how to strengthen them, how to keep them stable. And then when you go back to doing your free weight exercises, you will feel the difference. And when you go back to doing exercises like mountain climbers or push-ups or things like that, you will also feel the difference. So, when I started doing physical therapy exercises for my shoulders, that was when I finally sort of broke through on a lot of things like kick-throughs and mountain climbers and push-ups, things that have a need for shoulder strength and stamina. And I just didn't have that previously. I just didn't, I had some degree of it because I was a fit person, but man, it's night and day. It's night and day, where now I can maintain that mountain climber position for the entire 30 seconds and still feel the strength and stability in my shoulder and not worry that I am about to fall out of the position or, just completely lose the form or anything like that. So definitely it's a good thing to work on, and it's not something that we pay a ton of attention to. Okay, so if you have that sort of automatic distaste for mountain climbers, ask yourself if it's because you don't feel that strength and stamina in your shoulders. And if the answer is yes, then start looking into exercises that you can do to strengthen your shoulders, okay? Because I guarantee you, once you've done that, and then you come back to the mountain climbers, it will truly feel like night or day, all right? Oh, man. It doesn't mean that I'm crazy about them, but it does mean that I know I can do them now, and that just makes it feel so much better, because a lot of times the exercises that we have, this automatic distaste for, it's just because we don't feel like we can do them or do them well. And a lot of that is just practice and time and strengthening the bits and the places that need to be strengthened, okay? All right, good job, my dears. Whew. Let us have some more water. Oh my God. Oh yeah. Important stuff, water. Oh no. Sorry, for a second I was like, ooh, can I see the mountains again? But no, it's just the roof of the building across the street. Dang. Oh well. To be fair, I don't know why I thought it was mountains. I can never see the mountains from sitting on my floor in my living room, but wishful thinking, I suppose. Oh my goodness. All right, my friends. We are gonna do another Tabata, and this time we're going back to burpees, regular burpees this time, not the turtle burpees that we started with, okay? So I emphasize that because the first time that I did that particular switch back and forth, I definitely went back to regular burpees and then had to stop myself from automatically going into turtle burpees. So just, you know, we're doing the same burpees that we did during the warm-up, same wave push-up, same victory clap when you do the jump at the top, all of that exactly as we did it in the warm-up. So you know the deal there, you know the form, you know the exercise, and the victory clap becomes a more and more important component the farther we get in class. You know, it's just really critical to be cheering ourselves on as we get a little more and more fatigued, okay? So let's make sure that we are, in fact, cheering ourselves on and going, yeah, I am here and I'm still moving. You know, I'm almost all the way through class, which is super awesome, but woo, still got a little bit to go, and I can make it because I am awesome. And that's, you know, I think one of the most important skills for exercise and for doing classes like this is just learning how to be our own cheerleaders. You know, because most of us are not doing activities that come with cheerleaders built in, you know? Like this class, we're in our living rooms and just working out alone, you know? So it's good to remind ourselves that we can cheer ourselves on, you know? We don't need other external entities to be cheering us on. It can be really awesome. It can be so awesome, absolutely. And when you can have those opportunities, you know, when I run the rock and roll half marathon every year, well, probably not this year, but it is so exciting and energizing to be cheered on by people at all points along that track. But you know, we don't always have that available, but we always have a cheerleader available. It's us, okay? We are here. We know how hard we're working. We know how much energy we are putting into this class. We know what we had to make it through just to get set up on our mats and turn on Twitch and get ourselves going. So we are perfectly positioned to be like, oh, man, I'm awesome. Because I know exactly what it took to get myself here. And it was not easy, but I made it. And then class wasn't easy, but I made it through that too. So you should absolutely be cheering yourself on and super proud of yourself for everything that you're accomplishing here, because I know I am, okay? So Oh man. Yeah. Here we are. We are well over halfway through, my friends, which is really awesome to note. One of the things I like to touch base on, because I know that it's something that I occasionally have to deal with. If you are working out on a really flexible surface, like these foam puzzle pieces that I use, sometimes that can cause wrist issues because your hand flat on the mat, when you put any sort of pressure on it, the mat automatically depresses underneath you, and so it can cause you to hyperflex your wrists. So if you've been noticing weird twinges in your wrists, that could absolutely be one of the causes. So occasionally you'll see me just push the puzzle pieces out of the way, and that's why, okay? I do it because I need to protect my wrists, because it needs that help. All right, my friends, you are in your final run through, okay? This is your 8th set. This is the final 30 seconds that you have to get through on these burpees. So make sure you're doing a nice big victory clap up at the top, all right? Really cheering yourself on, being so proud of yourself as you finish out strong. Nice wave push-ups, feeling the intensity in your triceps. And there we go. All right, let's get some water. Ooh. Oh yeah. All right, friends, we're just gonna do one more Tabata today, and that's gonna be it for the day. This one is going to be a 20-10, okay? So 20 seconds of work, 10 seconds of rest. So it's just gonna be 4 minutes, that's all. That's all you have to get through is 4 more minutes. Well, and then we're gonna do calf awareness, but 4 more minutes, that's it. That's fine, that's nothing. Guys, that's totally fine. All right, but what is the exercise, you say? Because, well, I noticed that you're not mentioning it yet. You're just trying to pump us up. And you're right, that is what I'm trying to do, because the exercise is gonna be Flaming Scarlets. A classic final cardio exercise. So if you've not done them before, you take your arms above your head in a V for victory. Straight elbows. We're not letting the elbows sag or bend. We're also not putting the arms up like this, up by your ears. It's a true V shape, like Natalie Portman in V for Vendetta, like Evita on the balcony. And when you've got that, you're just jumping back and forth from one foot to the other. You want to make sure that your knees are coming up above the crease in your hips. So if I hold my hands out like this, my knees should be knocking them up each time, okay? Oh man, it's intense. It's intense, my friends. It's a lot of jumping. It's gonna require a lot of energy. So bring all that energy, because we've got nothing else to hang on to it for. All right, back on your butts. Get ready, get pumped, get those arms in that V. Make sure you can hold that V position, and you are going, all right? So here we are. This is our final cardio Tabata. And what that means is we don't have any other major exercises that we need to hang on to energy for. So we want to leave all of our energy on the mat. We don't want to hold anything back at this point. We have made it all the way through class, and we are here at the end of class, and we just want to dig in, find that last pocket of energy that we've been squirreling away for a rainy day, and we want to use it. All right? We want to use it right now. There is no need for us to be hanging back on that. Okay? So let's really hunker down and make sure that we are truly just giving it all we got. You know how when we were doing the warm-up, I was telling you that you did not need to be going to, 100%. Well, now is the time. Now is the time to go for 100%. Because why hold back? Why hold back, my friends? You have made it through an hour of class. You've been jumping around. You've been working up a sweat, getting your heart rate going, your breath, and you know what? You are a certified badass. So let's make sure that you are here in this final round, just going, all right, I am going to give it everything I've got. And remember that 100% is the subjective measurement here, okay? So if you came into class today and you're like, oh man, I am just ready and raring to go, then 100% probably looks like pushing up for a little more speed, a little more power as you do your Flaming Scarlets. For some of you, you might have gotten here and just gone, you know, it's a miracle that I even made it on my mat today. And for you, 100% here may just look like continuing to move until we get to the end of this timer. And no matter what, no matter which one of those is true, I am proud of you. You are doing a great friggin' job, okay? We were talking about cheerleaders earlier. Let's get an imaginary cheerleader out. Let's just pull them out of our brains, put them on the floor, next to our mat, next to our computer, next to our TV, whatever you're watching the stream on. You know what? And you should just watch them doing their best floor routine and cheering you on, because you know what? It's a hard time. It's a hard time right now, and we are all going through battles right now of varying severity, both personal and within the world. And you know what? The fact that you have taken this time to join me and to take care of yourself, to do some exercise, is so awesome. And I am proud of you. And you should be proud too. Woo! All right. Holy cow. Well, my friends, that was an awesome class. Yeah, let's do some calf awareness. I said we were, and it's a nice way to move a little bit more, but really have an opportunity to get the heart rate down, to get the breath back under control. So, on your mat, when you hear the timer start, I just want you to balance on flat on one foot. That's it, okay? So, horns off, and we are balancing flat on one foot. You want to make sure that any adjustments, micro adjustments that you need to make to maintain the balance are happening only in your foot and ankle, okay? So you're not wobbling around or waving your other leg around or anything like that. How do we make sure of that? Well, let's come back to all those stabilizing muscle groups. We start with the core. So that keeps the torso under control. So our chest is not going anywhere that the body doesn't expect. We engage the glutes on the standing leg. We engage the quads on the standing leg. These three zones together are controlling basically everything from the knee up. So by the time we get down to the ankle, everything is under control basically. All right, switch to the other foot. And the ankle just has one unified shape to deal with, as opposed to a bunch of shapes moving independently that has to try to wrestle into line, okay? So really focus on those stabilizing muscle groups. And if you feel like you're struggling with your balance, then check in. Are my glutes still engaged? Is my quad still engaged? Is my core still engaged? If the answer is no on any of them, well, I think you might have just answered your question about why you were having some trouble with the balance, okay? When the timer goes off again, we're going to switch back to our first foot, again balancing, but we'll be balancing up on the ball of the foot this time. So as if you were wearing a very tall, high heel. So our goal is still to try and manage all of the adjustments from the foot and ankle, but recognizing that that is not always possible from this position. You are much more likely to need to fall out, and that is totally okay. All right, so if you feel like you're gonna fall out, try and control it enough to bring your heel down calmly. So rather than going, I'm falling out, go, okay, I'm gonna lose the balance, so I'm gonna bring the heel down, I'm gonna shift, reposition, and go back up into the balance and see how long I can hold it this time before I come down. All right, other side. What you will also notice, and you probably noticed it in the flat foot balances, but you will definitely notice it here, is that as with most things, you will have one side that is better at balance than the other side, okay? And that is totally normal, all right? And it's good information to have so that you know which side maybe needs a little extra strengthening as you continue your fitness journey. All right, so timer's gonna go off again soon. We're gonna switch back to that first leg, and this time we're going to be alternating, rocking up onto the ball of the foot, and then rocking back onto the heel. All right, so just going back and forth, up on the ball, back on the heel, up on the ball, back on the heel, okay? And you're just going back and forth between those two positions the whole time. So you don't want to lose the engagement of those stabilizing muscle groups, especially now that we're moving around a little bit more, okay? Because if we are moving around, rocking back up on the heel, and my shoulders go in a direction I wasn't expecting, suddenly I tip all the way over and completely fall out. So you still want to be engaging that core in particular as you go up on the ball, back on the heel. If you need to reset, that's fine. As you can see, even I have to reset sometimes. All right, and now other side, same thing. Up on the ball, back on the heel. When you rock back on the heel, you don't have to keep the body in a straight line, because that would basically just be lifting the toes off of the floor, and that would be even harder on the shins than this already is. So don't worry if you're not holding a perfectly straight line. That is not one of the requirements for this particular activity. All right, so just rocking back and forth, and we have one more exercise to go. So when the timer goes off, we will put both feet on the floor and rock up onto the heels and stay up on the heels until the end of the timer. So if you need to shift a bit, you can, and then try and hold the balance as long as you can. Shift around a bit. The only thing you cannot do is let your toes come down to the floor. So again, we're not trying to hold our body in a straight position, okay? Engaging that core can really help to stabilize this balance. But if you do need to shift around, that's okay. Just don't let the toes come down, all right? This is our last exercise. We are so close to the end. So keep breathing. Try and balance for at least a little bit. Shift around if you need to. Balance away. Oh, so close. Ah. And breathe a sigh of relief as your shins get to relax. Maybe roll over the top of your foot and just sort of stretch them out a little bit, because that's nice and intense. Whew. All right. Good job, everybody. Oh, God. Son, this is the problem with the changing seasons, is the shifts in my natural lighting. Another reason why I need a good lighting setup sooner rather than later. All right. So, making sure you're drinking that water, huh? Making sure that you have finished your entire water bottle. This is a big mason jar, that's my excuse, but I'm going to finish. And then go refill it, okay? Because again, as I said earlier, we are really bad at hydrating ourselves. And you know, here's the thing. A lot of us are struggling so hard with anxiety, with depression, you know, whether those are conditions that are chronic for you or whether it's situational for you right now because of COVID and wildfires and police brutality and the fact that Breonna Taylor's killers have still not been arrested, even though apparently Louisville recognizes that something was horrible enough that they're going to try and pay off the family. There's a lot. There's a lot going on. And when we're struggling like that, we can frequently lose track of our ability to care for ourselves, to take care of ourselves, to be like, I need to care for this body and this mind because this is what I live in, this is what I inhabit. And it's so easy for us to lose track of that. So my challenge to you for today, for tomorrow, for the rest of the week is to choose a vessel that holds water, okay? Giant mason jar, water bottle, pint glass, hell, a mug, if that's all you have. And to drink a full amount of water from that vessel, let's say 3 to 4 times a day. Let's just start there, okay? If you can remind yourself to do that, then you will be taking a great concrete step towards taking care of yourself. And it's hard. And I am really bad at it too. You know, when I'm struggling, when I'm having a bad day, when I'm having a bad week, the first thing to go is remembering to hydrate myself. All right? So
sometimes it's really important for us to have those either accountability buddies or some sort of external voice that reminds us to take care of ourselves when we're having a really tough time reminding ourselves. And so if you need that external voice this week, I will be that voice, all right? Drink your water. Drink plenty of water. Make sure you're hydrating yourself, especially after a class like this. And make sure you're taking care of yourself so that you can take care of others, okay? Oh, thank you all so much for being here. What an awesome class. That was a lovely class, you know? That was what I needed. Something simple, not a ton of things for us to keep track of. And we just got to really focus in on getting a good cardio workout. There are 2 more classes in this week's broadcast schedule. Sounds so weird to say that. Friday at 6 p.m. Mountain Time is Functional Home Fitness, where we do weight training using objects you can find around the house. And then Saturday morning at 9 a.m. is the weekend kickoff, which is an awesome strength and stamina focused bodyweight class. So I hope you will join me for one or both of those. You can follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and those handles are going to be in my end card in just a second. My YouTube channel, Blanche Case Fitness, is where I store the VODs for this channel. There's also going to be a ton of supplementary materials going up there. Warm-up videos, stretch sequences, form videos, stuff like that. So head over there and subscribe if that's your jam. If you want to help me keep being able to make these, I do have a coffee account. Donations always appreciated, never required. And if you want to help me keep growing this community, keep coming back for class and other types of content, just lots of fun, then please do follow this channel. We're just 10 followers away from 50, which is super exciting. And I just love doing this so much. And so I'm glad that you're all coming along on this journey with me. So, all right, finish your water, make sure you have dinner, take care of yourself, have a great rest of your night, and I will see some of you back here on Friday. Mwah. Have a great night.